Constitutional principles are the beliefs that our foundation of our nation was built upon. And these are very important in how our government will be run and how we perceive to treat citizens and how we perceive to live in society. And if you Google constitutional principles for the US Constitution, you're going to find multiple, principles that have been established that people feel were established in the Constitution. I'm going to give you the five that I think are the most important principles that were established in our Constitution. One is inalienable rights, also social compact. Second, popular sovereignty. Third, rule of law. Fourth, limited government. And five, equality. The first principle is inalienable rights and social contract. And alienable rights are these basic God-given rights. These are rights that we have just for being human beings, and they are life, liberty, and property. They are our most fundamental rights just for existing, and they need to be protected. Before we lived in a society, we were always looking over our shoulder to see who's coming to get what we have. And we agree to live in a society, and that agreement is called a social contract. It's not a real contract that's written. It's an understanding, an unwritten contract that says, you know what, I know I have to give up some rights to live in a society. I have to follow the laws and the rules of that society. But the government or the rulers of that society will protect my most basic freedoms of life, liberty, and property so that I can have a more enjoyable life. I'm not responsible for constantly looking over my shoulder anymore. I have someone to help me do that. But again, I do have to give up some of my freedoms. So nothing is free, right? We have to give up some freedoms to live in a nation. And that is where we get the inalienable rights along with the social contract. We agree, the citizens agree to give up some rights to live in this society. And the ruler or rulers agree to protect those citizens. A second principle of the Constitution that's super important is the popular sovereignty, the idea of popular sovereignty, that the power lies in the people. The government is only the government because the people say so. The person is only president because we said so. And just as fast as we say you are in power, we can say you're not in power anymore. We have that right. When does this get taken advantage of? Is when people forget they have the power to say something and do something and make change happen. If you're not happy with your government, guess what? You can change it. You're supposed to. That's what's supposed to happen. That's how our Constitution and our government was established. The third constitutional principle is limited government. We came from the British colonies where we felt that the British were almost like a dictatorship with King George over us and that they didn't listen to us and people abused their powers. So we wanted to make sure that we created a limited government. The best way to do that is to separate out powers, and we do that many different ways. We do it by creating different branches of government. We do it by giving state government certain powers and federal government certain powers. We try to spread out that power as much as possible to prevent somebody from abusing power to the point where our country will be destroyed. Limited government is very important to make sure that we don't have power all in one place. We want it spread out. The fourth constitutional principle is the rule of law. And the rule of law is that nobody is above the law. And this should be so for everyone who is a citizen or presides in the United States. Everyone must obey the law. The rich must obey the law. The judge must obey law. The president must obey law. And if they are not, or if they do not, they should be held accountable and face the consequences of their choices. This is only fair. This we see doesn't happen always in our judicial system when it comes to the fairness of laws in this country. But the principles, the ideas of rule of law exist, and we can fight it. The fifth constitutional principle that I feel is very important that has been established in the Constitution is equality. This idea that we are all equal. It establishes that in the rule of law, we are all equal under the law. We all must obey the law, and therefore we all must be of equal status. Now, when this Constitution was written, were we all presented in this Constitution as equal? No, this Constitution was written for one type of social class, one type of gender, and one type of race. So it wasn't for the most of us, but the ideas are there, and it allows us to fight for it as times change, and it provides that. These are the constitutional principles that I feel are the most important that were established as our foundation for our nation.